It's hard to believe anyone survived this highway accident, but what's more shocking than the crash itself is who was driving the car that caused it.
Oh, no way! Oh, he's got him! Oh, a big accident! Right in front of him.
I don't know, it was like a massive explosion.
Like a shot out of a rocket.
Catastrophe on the highway.
It was mayhem, absolute mayhem.
Oh, they're rolling, and there'll be people dead here.
It was out of control right from the word go.
And we just kept rolling and rolling and rolling.
When's it going to stop? When's it going to stop rolling, you know?
Not a lapse in judgment on the road, but a criminal act caused by kids who flee the scene.
We didn't realise at the time that they were stolen vehicles too, see?
It's pretty awful conduct, wouldn't you say?
Oh, Harry, a dog act.
Oh, sake. Yeah, no, I'm dead set serious, mate. Hang on, I've got to go. Yeah, I've got to ring Triple O.
It was a brush with death for the victims.
It's with crashes such as this, you know, you're a pinprick away from a fatality.
But just another line on the 17-year-old perpetrator's rap sheet.
Do you accept his apology?
No, I don't.
I hope, in hindsight, that particular offender has a real good, hard look at himself.
It's just after 5:30 in the morning on one of Australia's busiest highways. Bruno Nowak, his wife Livia and their brother-in-law Ross Gigenti are travelling south in this four-wheel drive. They're heading to one of Bruno's medical appointments, and behind them is truck driver Wayne Davey. His dash cam is switched on like every other day. It's usually a safe, straight stretch of road, but nothing could prepare them for the chaos that's about to unfold.
I was sitting there waiting for an opportunity actually to overtake them.
Well, I was just actually waiting for a bypass somewhere. I said I'd get off the road and let him go past, you know?
Suddenly, Wayne's semi-trailer and the four-wheel drive with Bruno at the wheel are both overtaken by a speeding sedan.
Well, we're sitting on 100 and it just passed as if we were standing still.
There's a close shave with an upcoming truck, but then, unthinkably, a second stolen car appears.
Oh, no way! Oh, he's got him!
Next thing, a mighty explosion, and I just didn't know what happened. Everything went haywire. And
Oh, a big accident! Right in front of him. Oh, they're rolling.
It just felt like it went on forever. It felt like it was never going to stop rolling, and I wasn't even in the thing.
The four-wheel drive with its three elderly passengers flips 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 times. Meanwhile, the other car that rammed them from behind disappears in a cloud of dust.
And there'll be people dead here. Oh, sake.
I seriously expected it to be a fatality.
Hang on, I've got to go. Yeah, I've got to ring Triple O.
As Wayne frantically calls emergency services, he's oblivious to the sinister events that unfold next. That black car cruising into view is the first car that shot past them seconds earlier. The driver's done a U-turn and come back, not to help the injured, but to collect his mates who, remarkably, crawled from their wreckage. They've caused the carnage, now they're fleeing the scene.
What was your reaction when you were told that?
Oh, just incredulous. Incredulous that they come around and picked up their mates and bolted and left these folks for dead.
Wayne and the other drivers who stopped after the crash were faced with a confronting scene in this gully. Two elderly men suffering broken necks and an elderly woman with a broken back. As the cowards who caused the crash sped off, Bruno managed to free himself from the car, but Ross and Livia were trapped inside.
Livia sung out and she said, "Oh, how you going, Ross?" And I said, "Oh, bleeding badly, I can taste blood."
Bloody awful thing to happen.
Police Inspector Roger White says investigations quickly revealed the two cars which caused the crash had been stolen and were driven by teenagers.
The vehicle that was used, that was a mess as well. And we don't know how the offenders got out of the car.
All three of the victims in this crash defied the odds and survived.
Hello, Livia. How are you?
Now, 8 months later, they're being reunited with the truckie who was first on the scene.
We've been wanting to meet you, but we haven't been able to get around.
No,
and when the chance come up,
yeah.
we said,
I've got goosebumps actually.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. It's so good to see you guys up and about.
Today is a good day for Ross, Bruno and Livia, but behind these smiles, the recovery hasn't been easy. and it's far from over.
Yeah, you're pretty banged up. Yeah.
I just woke up in ICU.
Yeah.
Collectively, they've had to spend 5 months in hospital and 6 months wearing neck braces. Ross had a medical halo screwed to his head for several weeks. He's only recently been able to sleep lying down.
They did say I could have been a quadriplegic.
The crash happened in December last year. Ross pulled this piece of glass from his forehead only weeks ago. As for Bruno, he suffered major blood clots and just returned home from another 3 months in hospital. It's still unclear when the pair will be able to drive again or enjoy their hobbies like fishing and gardening.
You can't play with your grandkids. That's the worst thing, you know.
We can't identify the driver of the stolen car because he was a juvenile at the time of the crash. But it's since emerged he's been brought before the courts for criminal charges on 20 separate occasions. This time he was given a 3-year jail term and he must serve 60% of that before being eligible for parole. Ross and Bruno resent the young driver responsible for their suffering. They say his long criminal history, which started at the age of 12, shows the youth justice system isn't working.
I don't think imprisonment with hardened criminals is the right answer.
In sentencing the teenager, the judge said,
"He's been given every sentencing option, ranging from probation to community service, boot camp orders, he's been given detention, he's been given conditional release. None of that has in any way deterred him from engaging in very appalling offending."
If they were brought to the hospital or come in front of us, would have liked to talk to them and say, look, you know, this is what you've done.
The same judge has since responded generally to accusations of lenient sentences, saying,
"When dealing with offenders, it's not a case that the judge can impose any sentence they feel like. There's little to be gained by imposing a sentence you know the Court of Appeal will overturn."
But the kids are not being taught the respect for themselves, the respect for other people.
The road to recovery continues for the victims, but what does the road to rehabilitation mean for the offenders?
Well, I suppose you can't keep them in jail forever, but something's got to be done to put them on the right track. Once they've done their bit of time that's over there, they'll come around and do it again.
Oh, no way! Oh, he's got him! Oh, big accident!
That does not get easier to watch. The young driver responsible for the crash will be eligible for parole in September next year.